Ladies and gentlemen, it is lit. And that's not something that I say often, but I'm dead serious. It's lit because we got a new sneak peek, and it could not be... I don't know if I could envision a better sneak peek than this. And I'll be honest with you right now, I'm trying to build it up and trying to hype it up in case, you haven't seen it yet. I was expecting a tier 3 Wolverine slash black and gray X-Force Wolverine sneak peek, because yesterday we got Deadpool. I didn't cover that one, but yes, yesterday the sneak peek that I used for the thumbnail on the ABX video was Deadpool with the gray uniform looking at the 4 chimichangas. So obviously tier 4 Deadpool is confirmed, and the uniform, I'm very excited about Deadpool. I don't really have a whole video to dedicate to him, and we already know about Juggernaut, Sabretooth, and Warpath. However, this is possibly the greatest sneak peek we've gotten in ages, and I do not understate that. Depending on how good this could solidify the game, in my mind, for the next year plus, on the basis of this one change. I'm not kidding, because let me put it this way. When this change, which was a brand new thing, first came into the game, it was kind of the turn of the tide. It was like Aragorn showing up with all of the ghosts, right, to take down the orcs and shit at the end of the Return of the King. It's like the revival of The Simpsons after a few bad seasons there in the early teens. I can't really describe to you using any other metaphors because I'm running out of ideas how pivotal this new thing was. And since then, it's gone kind of stale. It's grown old and long in the tooth, and cobwebs everywhere, and people just do it quickly and they don't even pay attention to it anymore. Nobody talks about it. We don't even make videos about it anymore. But baby, maybe it's back. So let's jump into it. What is this sneak peek? Of course, I had to hype it up. You know how we do. Kawasaki, looking like motherfucker me. Anyways. Hey guys, I can speak English now. It's the third sneak peek, and it is CM Fragment reporting in from Hell's Kitchen. I'm gonna put on a little voice here. There have been reports of a huge tower rising in the land of the criminals in Hell's Kitchen. Coincidentally, I call my pants Hell's Kitchen. Rumor has it the king is back up at the very tippy top. Of course, I've contacted Daredevil about it. However, he said everything was fine and not to worry. But I couldn't shake the feeling that something ominous was coming. Now, here I am. Rocked you like a hurricane? A huge structure appears in Hell's Kitchen. A huge structure. A huge tower. And then, of course, we see Daredevil in the very familiar Stage 30, formerly known as Stage 25 of Shadowland. Agents, I need your insights and deductions on what is happening. I can't seem to grab onto any leads. You take the website, you take the URL, you paste it in, you type in Shadowland, no capitalizations, and you get the following sneak peek. Now, there isn't too much. Bacon's getting super hyped. There isn't a lot that I can really interpret from this sneak peek. I think this is just meant to signify that there's going to be a new visual representation for Shadowland, because this obviously doesn't look like anything we've seen in the game since. And while this may have connections to certain things in the comics and certain characters in the comics, I want you to get the hell out with any of your ideas, any of your jokes about tier 3 Iron Fist, tier 3 Shang-Chi, tier 3 Daredevil. That's not happening, okay? The love of my life, Logan, okay, James Howlett, yeah, he's getting his tier 3. Okay, Wolverine's getting a tier 3. Nobody else. I don't want any smart asses in the comments trying to take this win away from me. However, this is huge. This is gigantic. And I say that, pun intended, because this could mean so many things for Shadowland. A huge tower, a huge structure appearing. I don't really want to, I don't want to hype this up too much, but I do want to hype this up too much, because this is insane. When Shadowland first came out, it was the perennial game mode in Marvel Future Fight. It was the #1 undisputed heavyweight world champion year after year. But of course it got boring, it got stale, it got too easy. And Netmarble, sort of tried to update it by adding 5 stages, but they obviously didn't do a good enough job. It was only hot, fresh for about 6 months, and then it got boring as well. Tier 3 characters make an absolute joke of Shadowland. Level 70 characters make an absolute joke of Shadowland. This game mode is still obviously made for level 60 tier 2 characters. That's pretty much an obvious thing to tell by the scaling, the damage numbers, the dodge rates, and the ignore dodge, and the HP and stuff like that. So it really needs a complete facelift, and I'm very optimistic about the language used by a giant tower. I think there's a lot of thematic elements to Shadowland that can still be fleshed out with other members and kind of corrupting a lot of those kind of heroes. But in addition to that, there's so many characters who have just never made it onto the Shadowland roster. I mean, you can go back, you can go way back, and Sharon Rogers could be in Shadowland as a fightable opponent. Luna Snow. There's so many characters that have gotten new uniforms. There's so many characters who are new from past updates. Could you imagine a Fantastic Four floor? Could you imagine like a floor with just a shit ton of Sentinels? Oh my god. Could you imagine Doctor Doom and Morgan Le Fay on a floor? There's so many possibilities. It's insane. Infinity War floor with the updated uniforms for the Black Order and Thanos. There's X-Men. So many X-Men. There's already X-Men, but there's so many more X-Men now. And to see them on Shadowland floors would be amazing. I really can't tell you just how happy I would be if all of these things that I'm saying come true. Honestly, Shadowland was the most amazing game mode in Marvel Future Fight for the longest time. And I want them to recapture that. I would not be joking if I said I expected at least minimum 50 floors. I think at minimum 50 floors is what the new Shadowland should look like. I think anything less than 50 floors is inadequate. I think they could go as high as 99 floors easily. They could easily go up to 99 floors. I mean, World Boss Ultimate goes up to 99, so they've embraced that aspect of the game at the very least. You could have unlock challenges. You could have... There's so many things they can do with Shadowland. There's so many untapped potential. There's so much untapped potential for Shadowland, requiring you to use specific characters against other specific characters. So having a fantastic... I know some of you guys are going to hate me for this, but how cool would it be that there's a Fantastic Four stage and you have to use Doctor Doom to fight them? That would just be amazing. Maybe Doctor Doom's not the best example for the younger players and the newer players, but this could be something, towards the end of Shadowland that's super difficult anyway, and it features, tier 3 versions of all of the Fantastic Four. Even though they don't have tier 3 skills, they'll have like, crazy boosted stats. There's so many cool things they can do. You could have, Star Force versus Captain Marvel, X-Men versus Inhumans, X-Men versus Avengers, and vice versa, flipping them around. You can have Shadowland stages that require you to bring in certain types of characters in certain numbers, like you have to bring at least 2 combat types, so they can kind of reduce the number of characters and reduce the number of stages that you can complete artificially, so that you can't just get up to 99 really quickly. There's an insane number of effects that they can take advantage of. I've talked about this before, but there's so many weak characters that could be made stronger by things like Shadowland. For example, Blade. You could have a stage where you can only deal damage through bleed effects. And so, he does apply bleed, I believe. No, I guess he doesn't apply bleed. Anyways, there's a lot of characters that apply bleed. So you could have a character like, I think he applies bleed. Yeah, there we go. Attacking a vital point, 5% chance to deal 30% bleed damage. That doesn't seem like a lot, but if they buffed the bleed effect, then that would be something. You could also have the reverse of a lot of the effects, where instead of not taking damage from lightning, as the Thor core stage does with Thor and Groot and Jane Foster, you could have the inverse. So only lightning damage is going to be dealt on the stage, and if you try to deal any other type of damage, it won't work. And that would require you to build up specific characters. You could do it for mind damage. You could do it for, lightning, fire, cold damage, and so on and so forth. It's I really hope to see stages that require level 70 characters to justify ranking up so many of these characters to level 70. I really hope to see stages that require you to use tier 3 characters as well, and that are proportionally difficult, almost like a GBR stage, to having a tier 3 character. Because honestly, pretty much any of my tier 3 characters one-shot the stage in under 5 seconds. So we really need something more challenging. Shadowland is really where every single person in the game, I do not exaggerate when I say this, every single player in the game loves Shadowland. There is not a player out there who doesn't have a lot of love for the Shadowland. And of course, we get bored of it, but we still remember the first time. The first time you completed Shadowland, how good did that feel? I still have people coming in to the streams and messaging me on Twitter and messaging me on line chats. Hey, Cynicalex, I just completed Shadowland for the first time. They're so happy about it that they want to tell other people. I want that kind of happiness and that kind of joy to return and to be back in Marvel Future Fight. So, I mean, 50 stages minimum. I would personally prefer 99 stages. I would even entertain unlimited stages with no definite number, you know, up to possibly 500. And I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you use one character per stage, you could do up to 184 stages. So if you think about that, saying 500 is really not that crazy at the moment. So there is that. And they could even do things. They could do timed Shadowland stages where you have to beat other stages in a certain amount of time in order to unlock a future stage. So, you know, I'm just throwing this crazy idea out there. But for example, it says, you know, you have to complete stage 5, 10, and 15. You have to complete those 3 stages within a minute total in order to unlock stage 20. And if you're too slow on any one of those stages, or if you're too slow in the combined stages, then stage 20 becomes locked until the next week. That would be cool too. Additionally, I do have some tips for you guys. I'm not just going to gush about the game mode and tell you guys all the crazy things that I want added. I do have some tips for you on completing versus not completing Shadowland now that we know for pretty certain that they're going to be updating the game mode in some way. Now, to give you the safest advice, do not play Shadowland. If you've already played it, you're kind of stuck and you're forced to just stay there. But if you haven't started like me, or if you're part way, stop and don't keep playing. And then what you can do is you can wait until the day of the update. So not when the game is down, but let's say, you know, a few hours, 4, 5, 6 hours before the game is on maintenance, but when the patch notes go up, and I will do my best to mention this in the YouTube video on that day as well, they will mention in the patch notes whether Shadowland will be reset or not. And this is a very important factor because sometimes, I mean most of the time, but not all the time, when they update a game mode in a major way, they will reset your daily entries because the patch and the actual maintenance happens halfway through a daily cycle. So in the case of World Boss, when they introduced World Boss Ultimate, we played our 5 attempts, and then they renewed it by, and they changed it drastically with Infinity Wars by introducing World Boss Ultimate, the new World Boss Ultimate for Proxima. It was just Proxima actually. And so we actually got to play 5 times in the same day again. So that was one day where we technically had 10 tries, guys. Do you remember when we had 10 World Boss Ultimate tries? And so there is a possibility that you'll basically be allowed to double dip and play Shadowland twice. However, don't do it now and then expect them to refresh it, because if they don't, you would be missing out on the Shadowland rewards, whatever they are, when the update lands and whatever changes they have to Shadowland are live. Now, there is a small possibility that they actually nerf Shadowland by making the rewards worse. I highly doubt it, but I just wanted to say that just in case to cover my bases. Additionally, Shadowland is known for having very good first clear rewards. So I would say that for those of you that haven't done first clear rewards yet for certain stages, keep an eye out because there's a possibility they could change the first clear stages, the first clear rewards for stages. There's also a possibility they could remove them or replace them. So I would watch out for that. I'll also try to mention that in my YouTube video, but it is definitely something to consider because some of those first clear rewards are very good right now, and if they get moved and or displaced to a much more difficult level or taken out altogether, that would be something that you'd want to take advantage of beforehand. But for all those players who have completed Shadowland, you know, 100 times over like me, I don't really have any advice for you. All I have for you is my hype, my optimism, and a hell of a lot when it actually lands and we get to play it. So I cannot tell you how excited I am. Hope you are too. Let me know down below in the comments. Hit me up on other social media platforms and tell me what's up. Subscribe if you enjoy the content and you want to support me. And of course, if you like what you see, I hope to see you again tomorrow. Take care.